Hello, welcome to another episode of Drinking with Comics Presents Drunk on Energon. I am Sean,
And I am Mike.
and although we will not be drinking Energon today, Mike, what will we be drinking?
Today we'll be drinking Three Floyd's Black Sun Stout.
Now, did you pick
Ooh.
this because of the eclipse and our journey to totality the other day?
No, but I thought about it after I picked it. No, I just grabbed a random one out of the case of that we have set up for the next year, and that was the one.
Yeah, so
How?
for the viewers slash listeners, Mike and his lovely wife Amy came down and visited us this past weekend, and then we headed out to Paducah, Kentucky, which is one of the areas that had totality for the eclipse, and it was awesome. And
Oh yeah.
Mike gave me a bunch of beer, I gave him some beer, and so now we will be able to coordinate despite our 7 hour difference between where we live. We can have similar drinks on the show. So I'm looking forward
Yes.
to trying this. I've never had this Three Floyds. I don't know if this is seasonal or what.
I don't think I've ever had it either, which is also kind of like fun that we're kind of adding a little bit of like a beer tasting thing to this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So yeah, I don't drink a lot of Three Floyds. I'm pretty sure I've never had this one. I'm kind of excited.
All
You
right.
ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Three,
One, wait,
two,
two,
oh wait.
one. Wait, three, two. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Ooh, now this is a stout 6.5 ABV.
You're the beer expert. I'm the beer drinker.
I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, look at that. I hate that. Can't
Oh,
waste
you
that.
you you poured way better than me.
Oh, so Three Floyds is based in Indiana and
Hmm.
used to be years ago. I'd go to Chicago and somebody would maybe, my friend Steve Hellman would sometimes take a trip on his motorcycle up to their brewery to try and get some, and he'd wait in line. And it was like a barbecue place in the South. Like you'd wait in line for a couple hours and they might come out and be like, yeah, sorry, we're sold out. Nobody ever got it. All the liquor stores and the Binnies and the Total Wines were like, we order, they might give us like a 6 pack. Now it's inescapable. It's fucking everywhere. They cemented their empire in scarcity for years, and now it's just everywhere. You go into a Binny's or a Jewel in Chicago, and there's multiple
Yeah,
end caps. So, but I
I
appreciate their
feel like I see
success.
Gumball Head everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I
Zombie
just
Brew.
saw it by me recently for the first time.
Oh wow.
So where do we start? Should we start with this? Let's start with this week's Transformers because this just came out yesterday.
Okay.
What did you think of number seven?
I like number seven. I'm noticing that my major gripes, let's just get those out of the way first,
Yeah.
is there's not a lot of meat on that bone, but the meat that's on that bone is really good.
Okay.
And I think that goes with that is a general complaint I have with comics for the last several years, which is um, they seem to there was a shift several years ago to more splash pages and less story. And it's 20 pages of story. I got it really bad in Void Rivals. Uh, but like here, it's just like here's 3 pages dedicated to um, it's not RC, but Cup, and I think Alita one.
Oh, they were. Oh, okay. Yeah. Alita.
And then
Okay.
3 pages here, 3 pages here, and 3 pages there, which adds up exactly. To be fair, but it adds up to like not a lot of characters are not getting fleshed out as much as they should. It's just a glimpse into the thing, which I guess like the original Transformers comic was like that. But I think Duke and Cobra Commander are just making me like um, here's we're really fleshing out the GI Joe universe with 2 series, um, or at least 2 miniseries, where this is like a lot is crammed into one. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm enjoying what I'm reading. It's a lot of fun. I love the artwork. I love the craziness. Um, Poor Starscream. I know he'll be back, but
Dude, I gotta say, so this issue, so I like that it bounces. So I think the thinking here is it's that thing where like let's not retell Hulk's origin at the beginning of the next Hulk movie because everybody fucking knows it, so just brush past
Yes.
it. So I think there's an element of that here, and I really like seeing like this. It reminds me of like maybe 2012. Simon Furman came back and did that continuation of. He was the writer on Transformers, the Marvel comic, for like the last half until it ended in I think issue 89. And he came
Yes.
back, and IDW put out a continuation of his continuity called Regeneration One, and I fucking loved it. One of the things I
Okay.
loved about it was the story took certain characters and moved them around the board, and then in the thick of the arc, like you'd get issues where it was bouncing from here to here to here to here to here to here, and it was really rapid fire. And I felt like it really worked for me. I really like that because it's hard to do, and it's hard to bounce between tensions rising in different storylines and keep that tension going for multiple issues. And I thought that he did. This isn't quite
Yeah.
doing that, but it's sampling that a little bit because I love this opening. We're seeing Cybertron, we're seeing Cup, Warpath, Elita One, Huffer, and we're also see like what is the thing that they get to, like where Alita
I
One is like,
don't
what have they
know.
done to you?
I just now just noticing this, looking down at it, I didn't even notice this first time around. Alita One's carrying around Optimus Prime's gun.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like I didn't even notice like she's just sitting there blasting away with his cannon. Um I don't know what that means, but that is definitely Optimus Prime's gun. Um oh man, a lot of robots go offline. I'm kind of wondering if it was Ultra Magnus. It's
Okay,
definitely someone big, but I can't get a tale of like what is that like Metroplex because it's such a there's no perception of what size is there
yeah.
with these few panels.
Well, you don't know
I'm
what's a
assuming it's
character
someone
and what's
big.
the room that it's in, right? It looks like it could just be like faceted to the walls or what, or,
They definitely stripped whoever that was down for parts. So it could be Ultra Magnus because Ultra Magnus technically wears armor. So
Okay.
I mean, that would make a good reason for him to like wear armor again.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, but I don't know. Uh, um, and I'm still not 100% sure that's Alita One either. I assume it is. I'm not that familiar with the obscure female robots that only showed up in 2 episodes of Transformers.
I don't remember that character until you said that. I recognize that name, but in reading this, I didn't recognize her or the name Elita. I just was like, I don't know who this is.
I
I kept thinking, is
remember,
this like RC? Is this before what we saw on the regular panels? Because it doesn't say when this
yeah,
is happening.
yeah, it does not either. Um, I think it's Alita One because it also makes sense why she's carrying Prime's gun because I think Alita One is Prime's love interest.
Okay. I wonder if you're right, though. I really like the idea that it's Ultra Magnus because later we get RC talking about how she was basically mentored by Ultra Magnus and he's dead now. And that was
Yeah,
another thing I liked where I was like, holy shit, like I like that we're seeing characters, but it's not off limits to just be like, yeah, here's this character everybody knows and love. He's dead anyway, by the way. It almost reminds me of in the original Marvel Comics Transformers that Bob Budiansky wrote, there would be times when he would introduce a character in a on page one of a new issue and they'd be dead by the end of the issue. Like they just
yeah,
because there was such a huge, and it's pushing toys, right? So it's like you need
yeah. They had
Bob, you need to fit this character, these triple changers or whatever they are into this, one of the coming issues. Okay, well, it's going to get in the way of my story, so I'll fit them in, use them as spies, and have them get caught and killed. Boom, done.
yeah. I think Hammett did that too in GI Joe a lot. All
Well,
right,
I mean,
here's Crystal Ball. Okay, there he goes.
he only killed characters that want, the Saw Viper, the infamous Saw Viper that killed like Doc Quick Kick and Crazy Legs. I think I forget who else, but there was like 8 of them. And then he killed a few more a few issues later. And I remember the whole thing was like readers had clearly pushed to the point of this is bullshit. Nobody ever dies. So it really, even as a kid reading it, I felt like Hamill was like, "Are you fucking happy now? Shut the fuck up and let me get back to what I'm doing." um,
Well,
as opposed to
you gotta call some of the old characters to bring in the new characters, So I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, it
Uh,
does, but you can
yeah,
also move people around. Like that's like what Chris Claremont's Uncanny X-Men was always so good at, and that didn't have the trap of having to push toys, right? But he
yeah,
retired people and moved them to the outskirts. You might still see him here or there, but like I'm rereading the Dark Phoenix saga right now, and like Beast is an Avenger. He pops up for a bit, but he's an Avenger. He's not in the X-Men. Angel is retired. He pops up when they need him, but he's not a regular team member. So that kind of thing, like I like the way they can, they did that, and I feel like Hammock kind of did that as opposed to the GI Joe cartoon that just blatantly like new characters push everybody like so. By the time the movie came out, it's like Snake Eyes was somebody you might glimpse once as a background character, but wasn't even a focus at all, which I
yeah,
always thought was weird.
yeah. That was a whole new line of toys they had to introduce for the movie.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
whereas the Transformers '86 movie was so genius because it took characters and like let's make Megatron Galvatron. Let's make the Insecticons and whoever else into Scourge and the Sweeps. Like I
but
really
they
like the way they
also
did
wipe
that.
out a lot of Autobots too. They also
Yes,
wiped out a
definitely,
lot of
definitely.
Autobots in the beginning. It was definitely one of those movies where you left going like, "Wow, that
Yeah,
thing that episode had a meaning."
yeah. What do you think about the fight? I love the fight between Soundwave and Starscream because the cover A tells you one thing and has nothing to do with
Yeah,
the outcome of the actual fight. So that was cool. What do you think?
I liked it too. It was exactly what Starscream needed to be like shot down,
No wrestling
shut up.
moves.
A little bit over the knee there.
Oh, come on. It's not a
Kicked
wrestling
him in the
move.
back. Yeah, kinda.
I mean, you
You're
can
right
say
though. You're
punching is a
right. I
wrestling
was
move.
there was no big wrestling moves other than nice, crunching out of the innards of Starscream. Um, compressor? I don't know what that is. Transmission? Took out his
Yeah.
transmission.
Oh, so good.
I don't think this is the end of Starscream. Starscream is famously known for coming back from the dead. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. We're going to ghost to Starscream a lot sooner than we thought.
Yeah, or he'll be
Uh,
remade in some capacity. I don't think he's gone either, but I really like the way I don't know, I just like the way they're moving the pieces around the board.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
interesting.
It is fun. Um, yeah, like the little girl in pink who's got a machine gun now,
Yeah,
all angry.
Carly. I
Carly,
I like where she's like, whatever, what's your name? Arby to
yeah,
RC?
did notice. I'm sure you noticed that too. I'm sure you thought the same thing. That was totally the scene where Optimus Prime's driving and he's holding a baby,
Hmm.
totally from his dad, Sparkplug.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So
yeah,
he's definitely in
Sparkplug's
the
memories.
Matrix consciousness now, right?
Yes, yeah, we kind of called that one. But yeah, and poor Wheeljack, where's his legs?
I really like that though. That's cool.
I
That
do
fits with
too. It does look neat.
I like this. Like some people are in stasis. I don't have legs right now. I'd rather forego them and get around on treads and try and fix other Autobots because we need them.
Yeah,
Optimus still has Megatron's arm. Like it's really ragtag to use a term that is generally overused and kind of foolish, but it feels that way. Everybody's like half complete.
yeah. Everyone, they're struggling. They're trying to survive. Um, it reminds me of a lot of Beast Wars. The thing I loved about the Beast Wars cartoon was, they were stranded on this planet and they had limited resources and limited character army members. And every time they found a new uh, character that would introduce into the show, it tipped the balance very forward between the Predacons and the Maximals.
Okay.
I'm getting that vibe from this too, which I like. That was one thing I really liked about that show. Um, so like resources are limited. They had reasons for being there, and this is the same thing. They have very limited resources. They just can't walk out and pick up more Energon. Um, but yeah, but I feel like I need a little more. I need to know what's like. There's too much going on. I feel like it needs to be a little more, just for a
You
monthly
know,
book. Yeah,
You know what it is? I wonder if it's just you're not used to reading monthly books.
could be, could be. It is something I gotta get back. I've been reading this monthly, so it's not like I've been reading it as a trade.
Right, right, exactly. So like it is a totally different mindset, and I could see how that would be. And I know a lot of times, even with like TV shows and stuff, I'll hear you say like I'll wait until it's done so I can watch it, you know. And
Yeah.
I've gone the other way where I really, because for, you know, a couple years everything was binged, I've gone back to just enjoying like weekly or monthly, you know, it is often I have to reread shit. Like I guess that's a good place to segue if we're done with Transformers into Void Rivals because I just reread it because I've been reading it monthly and I was like, issue one feels like a long time away, and while I remember the gist, I'm probably missing stuff that I'll pick up on
It was
now
only
because
8 months ago.
yeah, but still, dude, I mean, you know, I
Yeah,
mean, I
no.
read so much, so many monthly comics, it's very easy to forget. And also, you don't always know what you're looking at, right? So there's been some stuff in Void Rivals where now, when I first encountered I'm just taking it at face value, right? Because I don't know anything about
Mhm.
this world or these characters, and now I'm looking back after 8 issues and going, oh, maybe that means something.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to Void, or do you have any other points to make about
I do want to move
Transformers?
on to Void, but I did want to bring up real quick the fact that Thundercracker is still alive, or no, Skywarp's still alive and running a computer.
Well, and that's another case of somebody that's like half complete or less,
Yeah,
actually, but
but
it's
even
still a
still, like
character.
their main computer, Teletron One, is working against them now, which I kind of like. That like
Yeah.
he doesn't have where to go, but he's still telling them that they're scum.
Yep. Yeah, I really, really liked that actually. And I didn't realize this. Daniel Warren Johnson is not the artist. I have been thinking he was. So this issue is George or Jorge Corona, and
Okay.
it looks a lot like Daniel Warren Johnson in that there's a very analog, textured feeling to this world, which is one of the things right away about Daniel Warren Johnson, like with his Beta Ray Bill series, like the spaceships and all the tech seems way more vacuum tube analog to me than it does like clean, pristine digital. And this kind of thing where everybody's in bits and pieces and Skywarp is built into the computer, you know, half of his chassis and like it feels part and parcel to that feeling. And I really like that because I feel like sci-fi was like that in the 80s, and with the advent of digital, it everything got a lot more like streamlined and detailed and precise. And I like this kind of junky feeling, this like vacuum tube texture.
It's a little post-apocalyptic. Everything's taped together.
Yeah,
Um, Road Warrior feel to it almost, with the limited resources and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. No, it is definitely something I'm noticing and I'm enjoying a lot of. Like I'm assuming when Starscream does come back, he's gonna be missing an eye, which will be fun.
yeah, or maybe he'll have somebody else's eye. I like the
Yeah,
fact that they're repurposing people's parts, like Optimus having Megatron's arm is just. I'm glad that wasn't just like a one issue whoa, and then you know it's still there.
yeah, it's still there. I'm having fun with that. That is definitely that could go on for a while. And poor, someday Megatron's gonna come back and want that arm.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Dude, and
Uh,
also like I've never seen nobody's ever used sound I almost said Soundgarden Soundwave like this before. Like he's a fucking badass.
yeah. Uh, uh, you hurt his kitty, which I
Yeah,
forgot what
basically,
happened with
yeah.
that.
Yeah. You kicked my Ravage.
Yeah, you kicked my Ravage. Do you read him? Do you read him in the old cartoon voice? You've kicked my Ravage.
Dude, that was the other thing I was going to ask you. This issue for sure, as I was reading Soundwave, every fucking dialogue bit of his was in that voice, which is amazing. Like I just really enjoyed that.
Um, and one other thing where it was it's going to make sense why it's not But were you sad when you saw the aircraft carrier and it wasn't the flag?
No, I didn't even think of that actually. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know
I
who Henry Harrison is offhand. If anyone does, please let me know. But I would love to know. Um, I guess I could look that up. I didn't think of that. But I like, why not the flag? Why not cross that over just a little bit more? Like that
right.
was like a missed opportunity, or it's just going to get destroyed or something. I don't know. Something's going to be with that in the future. So yay! But off to the voids, the rivals. They're not
Yeah.
friends. They're
They're
rivals.
they're not friends, they're not enemies. Let's call
They're
them
rivals.
rivals. I like that
Yes.
line.
Yeah.
Uh so you just read this basically. What are your tell me about it. What do you think?
When I first read the first issue, it annoyed the hell out of me. I
How come?
liked. I it was very that trope of it. There's an episode of Star Trek where um, Picard and our alien are stuck on a planet together, and they
Hmm.
have to like communicate to figure out how to get off. I was getting those vibes, and there was a movie like that too, which I can't
Enemy
remember what
mine.
it was called. Enemy Mine. So I was getting very strong, like, okay, I've seen this before. They're gonna work together and get off the planet. I wish I didn't know that Jetfire was in it, but I knew.
Yeah.
I I've heard rumors that this was going to be a Transformers thing. I loved how Kirkman did it. It's fun. It's kind of fun in comics. I like that he does that kind of every once in a while. But it definitely felt like, oh look, we found this ship. Ship transforms robot. Oh crap, I gotta go. Like, okay, you're gonna help the people. And we never saw him again until Transformers. So the very few Transformer crossovers in here felt a little shoehorned because it wasn't really part of the story. Other than the Quintesson stuff feels like it might be part of a bigger story. But like definitely like when Shockwave showed up, it was like, yep, sorry, can't help you. See you later. Got my own problems. But other than that, I am enjoying the ride. The characters are fun. I like the hand robot,
The Handroid.
hand droid. That's very clever. Um, I like that it's not taking, we're 8 issues. We already know that clearly they're from the same planet. They're the same race, minus slight differences. Um, and the government knows. So I'm intrigued where that's going. It's getting there faster than I'm glad it's not dragging out. um, I read 7 and 8 this morning. We're doing full spoilers, so I guess
Yeah.
the new character they introduced, that's her brother, right?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's definitely seems like it to me.
yeah. I can't wait to see where the next issue is because our Transformer shows up.
Yeah,
Spring,
Springer's like right on the cover this time.
yeah. Maybe he'll be in it for more than 2 panels. I don't know.
I thought the Jetfire, Skyfire, whatever you want to call them, I thought that was perfect. But the Shockwave in issue two is totally shoehorned in, like
Yeah,
100 and or issue two or three, I forget which, but totally three. I love, I don't know how to say it, but succoid. I love that they're using him, and that feels
yeah.
legit. Like I really,
I,
really,
I,
really like that.
I enjoy
Um,
every time he's like, I have a family to feed. Come on.
um, and I just watched some of Five Faces of Darkness, which is the after the Transformers '86 animated movie, then when the TV show came back, it had jumped to the continuity to after the movie, right? So it's further in the future, and the Five Faces of Darkness was the initial storyline. I think it was probably like 5 episodes long or something like that. Um,
The big
to
arc that they opened up with.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
opened that season up with, and so now his voice is in my head. So now when I'm reading this stuff, when he's talking, I have that.
Was
When
he
he
in that?
mentions, huh?
Who's in that?
That lizard guy,
The lizard guy
Suckoid,
was in
or
that? Okay.
yeah.
I couldn't remember where he was. It's been a
I
long time. So I'll have to rewatch that too.
And then he mentions when he first comes on, he mentions Slazardo, who I recognized the name and I couldn't place it. So I Googled it and there's like a Transformers fan wiki. He was apparently also on the Transformers. There's a picture of him, doesn't look like Suckoid. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's what it looks like. Suxxoid. So I don't know. Suzoid,
Okay.
Suckoid. But
Sizzloid,
so they
Sizzleroid,
Sizzler
Sizzleroid.
with the salad bar, the robot with the or the lizard
Yeah,
with the salad bar. Um, but I really and the quintesson. So here's the thing. I have this idea that the quintessons are and I love them. So
yeah.
I could I would be super happy if this book ends up really focusing on them and less on the Transformers or whatever. But I have this theory that okay, so the of the two rivals, the female Sula, I think is how you say her name,
Yeah.
and she's a Zertonian, if I'm saying that correctly. Um, when she is imprisoned, these nuns from this the order of I forget what they call the order, but it's they worship this being Zerta and or Zarta, and then
Is it is it Zartan's mom?
oh ooh, no, I doubt
Ooh.
it. That's why I think it's Zerta. But so then in another issue, when Suckoid is trying to sell the Quintesson back to the Quintessons, and they're outraged, and he's like, "Well, here, I'll give you this ship that's made up of both Agorian and Zertonian technology." And when they're like Zertonian, and
Yeah.
then there's a whole thing where one of the Quintessons is like, "It's been, I forget what it's been eons or something like that." So after all this time, did she actually do it? I think one of them defected and from the Quintesson race and started whatever became this original society that then split into these two rival factions. So I think they're going to be, I think the Quintessons are going to be
Or
quintessential to this book.
or yeah, I'm assuming too, which would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they created whatever that weird planet that they live on anyways, which is like a ring around a star.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something to that because that's not normal to my knowledge.
No.
But yeah, they definitely interacted with her name and or the Zathorian name and not the Agorian name.
Yeah.
And I think wasn't the it's the shoot, I don't remember anything about the Quintessons. Did they ever cover it in Five Faces of Darkness that they were individuals that became one, or was it like
No, I don't think they ever really gave their origin other than that they made the Transformers.
yeah,
I don't feel like their origin was ever explained. And dude, I mean, I fucking love them. Like I want more. I want to go deep into Quintesson territory. Like
okay.
uh
I am intrigued to see more about Quintessons. I'm glad to see there's like that's why I'm kind of hoping they do another Transformer book that based more in the outer space adventures and all those Transformers and the Quintessons and all that stuff. Where
mhm.
like Void Rivals is kind of doing that, but there's just so much stuff out there, and 20 pages is just not enough.
Agreed. I mean,
I
they
mean,
can add a title whenever they want. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I
mini
agree.
series or whatever, and we're still. It's not even been a year, you know.
Hmm.
So that stuff can happen. It's not like it's
Yeah.
not out of the realm of possibility. And if it does, it's because we said it here and they listened.
That's right. Remember that.
Yes, just because I want more.
I agree.
Uh,
To me, the
yeah,
Transformers comic and cartoon, as soon as they get off Earth, I'm way more interested.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
Like,
always. I think you're with me. Like you're one of the few people that kind of was like, oh man, they killed off Optimus Prime. That's
yeah,
ballsy. You know,
yeah.
where apparently the rest of the world cried.
I no,
Uh,
I was all about exploring and like that's one of the
yeah.
things I liked about Regeneration 1 too, is it primarily takes place in space because Earth was destroyed. Like it was literally like a
Oh,
wasteland. If you've not read that, I can't recommend it enough. I think it's absolutely fucking outstanding. And you don't need to
okay.
read his original Marvel issues in order to jump into it. I forget how long it went. Not super long, but
Two or three graphic novels or books, if
something
I
like that.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Char, I always loved Char, which became post movie the seat, this like burned out husk of a planet that's where the Decepticons just ended up. That was because they were so beaten and trying to come back from the damage after the movie. That was basically their base of operations. And like I would never I can rewatch the third and fourth season of the show anytime. I would never rewatch the first two seasons that take place on Earth. I have absolutely no interest in seeing them.
I I do enjoy those earlier ones. I remember rewatching them out on DVD, but they were so bad.
Yeah.
But then there's a thing like I noticed, like there's a part where the second, or I think there's only three seasons technically,
Okay,
and
okay.
that third season, because fourth season would be the headmaster stuff that got
Oh,
and then it got
miniseries.
canceled.
Yeah. Yeah.
The miniseries that got canceled. Um, but there was more. I remember being more intrigued by the third season because it had more interesting Transformers that looked different and weird.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same villains. They kind of explored more different characters. Um, but there's things I like about the first season. I like when they built the Combaticons and Starscream builds those Combaticons. I always thought that was a cool storyline. And the Stunticons. But that's only because you introduce different characters
Yeah,
that
right.
looked interesting. It wasn't the same. Did you ever see the? I remember distinctly in the third. I think it's called Animal Instinct. It's where all the you're gonna rewatch this. You'll notice this because I never noticed this before. It has a completely different art style than
Interesting.
the regular Transformers. It's very anime. Um, and I remember rewatching, like, wait, what happened here? This looks like a Gundam story, not a Transformers story, because the art style's so anime-ish
Huh.
that it's just a complete 360 from the normal style they normally do. And it's just one episode.
Please, if you're watching, listening, and you wanna you tell us you guys are fucking idiots, man. It's pronounced Naznoid or well, I guess you won't really be able to do that unless you can really break down the phonetics, but
Sizzlertron.
Sizzlertron. Um,
He's
if
a buffet that turns into a robot.
if you know who the USS Henry Harrison's named after, if you think that Soundwave
Yes.
cheated, if you think JR is still alive.
Or my ongoing theory that this guy here
Uh-huh.
is Zartan. Now follow the strings.
Nice.
It would be funny that there's like a Cobra character, like a regular G.I. Joe character that shows up in Void Rivals for some reason. I'm waiting for that to happen. It's
At
got to
some
happen at
point,
some
I
point
think
in
it
time.
will. I just don't know when it's going to happen. But I do think that they'll all at some point cross over to
Well,
some
yeah,
degree or
I,
another.
I believe that they said that's going to happen, and I'm cool with that, obviously. But I can't wait to see this, and I can't wait to see whatever, how they work in Monopoly or Battleship.
Nice. Let's hope not.
Or was
Uh,
that the is that what that's Battleship right there? That's the
oh,
Harrison.
no,
Oh,
no, that's Parker
okay. Now it
Brothers,
all makes
man.
sense.
Uh, Somebody in the letter column of I think Void Rivals or in one of the early Void Rivals asked like, "What about Mask?" And I think it was Kirkman's response was, "I know what Mask is," which was interesting
Yeah,
because I believe at some point within the last 5 years, there was, I mean, there's always like a rumor like, oh, there's going to be a mask thing because Hasbro just renewed the license, but they just renewed the license anyway. But there
yeah,
was talk of like trying to fit that into their like cinematic universe that just keeps falling flat on its fucking face, thankfully. Um, but you never know. I mean, it could end
yeah.
up in here too. It wouldn't be, it would
It
fit
worked.
right the fuck in.
It worked so well what they did with the IDW stuff, with like Mask being a reaction to Transformers.
Oh, I didn't even know that
Um,
happened.
yeah, IDW stuff. They worked in ROM and Mask and all that. Mask didn't stick around very long, but the idea was that Venom, the leader of Venom, Miles Mayhem, worked
Hmm.
for Cobra and started his own group, Venom.
Oh,
If I'm saying that right, I didn't read it, so I'm part of the problem why they didn't last.
eh,
But I remember the idea was that they were using Transformer technology or inspiration to build the mask vehicles, so they had a fighting edge against the Transformers.
makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So I can see that still carrying over. I hope.
Be
Uh,
cool.
yeah, they're very close to each other, same side of the same coin. So maybe that's where
Yeah,
Starscream goes.
never know.
Become a helicopter.
Ooh,
Ooh,
a mouthy helicopter. All right, well, for Drunk on Energon, my name is Sean,
and I'm Mike.
and we'll be back
Soon.
once we sober up. Hi, I'm Sean. Join me and my friends every week for the Horror Vision, where we talk about horror movies.